Well, since we last got together, I have been incarcerated for overnight for a trumped-up speeding and weapons charge that I experienced in Marshall County, Georgia. It was started in March, I think, or April of this year, and finally I missed an arraignment. I didn't quite understand I had to go to the same day the jury met, so a capias was issued for me and I had to spend the night in jail. But my father, who was a victim of judicial corruption, who was a victim of a mind control drug where as an older person he's having assets and things taken from him under the influence of a date rape mind control type of drug, has been moved from a retirement home on the coast of Georgia to a retirement home in Knoxville, Tennessee. Unfortunately, in the last 5 months, he has been harmed much worse than he had in the past, to the point that he does not even recognize me. I visited with him a couple of weeks ago. His wife had me removed from the premises within about 10 minutes of me being there, because we still haven't gotten the courts to authorize me to be there without having to go through a co-conservator to get approval ahead of time so that they can drug him and control him before we see him. So he does not recognize me. He doesn't really know where he is. Physically, he's doing pretty good for his age. 82 years old, he had a healthy appetite. But we are still in the courts on our third judge trying to resolve a long-standing conservatorship that has spent probably $1 million of his money on attorneys. This summer I've had several attempts for people trying to harm me, most likely kill me. They're trying to do it in a way, though, that won't be easily recognized. When I tell people this, they say, well, if somebody wanted to kill you, they could do it. It'd be easy. It would have happened by now, but that's not exactly the kind of people I'm dealing with. But my father, unfortunately, he was a honest and generous man. He raised 3 of his own children with good educations all the way through college and automobiles and all this. He even adopted 2 other people that weren't his own. Was in the military for 22 years and was a doctor, and generally an honest and generous man. And most of the people that are harming him are judges and lawyers. There are some politicians involved, and I believe here we are in November of 2012. It's very possible that some of this could be revealed soon. This has been going on about 6 years now. And when I say 6 years, I mean since I was aware of the problem and started trying to take action and legal action, which was a big mistake. I'll just warn anybody watching this that if you're thinking about entering into a conservatorship or guardianship, avoid it at all costs. It should be the last thing that you have to appeal to. And also check what county you're in when you're dealing with conservatorships and guardianships, because Davidson County, Tennessee, and Jefferson County, Colorado, and Maricopa County, Arizona, and there's a county in South Georgia, and there's plenty of other ones that you don't want to be in a conservatorship because they have probate rackets where they will appoint somebody other than a family member to be a conservator, sometimes an attorney, which is basically a crime to appoint somebody that's not a family member to be a conservator. And they will prevent family members from seeing somebody. They will drug them. They will put them in a home and arrest you for coming over to see them by trumping up charges against you for like being noisy or causing commotion. Basically, kidnap somebody and assault them with medicine and steal money. And this is what lawyers and judges are doing in Davidson County, Tennessee. This year I discovered, went back to the records department of the police and got some records on the death of a judge that had died in 1995. That was 17 years ago. And he was the probate judge in Davidson County, and he had a gunshot wound to his head, and it was ruled a suicide. And I found out that it was clearly a murder. And I realized that some of the lawyers who, there was the top-ranking attorney in Nashville, Tennessee, most well-known and popular attorney, claimed that this man had written suicide notes and left them with his wife. Well, people that are murdered don't leave suicide notes. So basically the most prominent attorney in Nashville, Tennessee today was probably involved in this man's murder. Personally, I believe that they were, I don't know for sure. I have been able to link this man's to the walking horse industry in Tennessee. I suspect they were using that as a front for drug running, but I cannot prove that at this time. There has been recently another man who died this summer, just on August 30th, who was aware of this judge being murdered because he told somebody that this judge had been murdered. He didn't use the word murder, but he used something very close to it. And then about a month or 2 months later, this man ends up dead, and it was ruled a heart attack, but his car was found at the bottom of a hill, and there wasn't much exterior damage according to the police reports. And the first responders found his car in neutral. I don't know how many people that are having a heart attack are going to try to put the car in park or whatever while they're driving and only get it to neutral, but certainly I suspect that he was murdered in some way. There's much more corruption in Nashville at the highest levels than people are aware of. And I'm talking about the top-ranking attorneys. Certainly I believe there's a presence, the CIA has a presence in Nashville, I believe, that could be involved in some of these things. Certainly I've heard of them being involved in drug running. But basically, my father is a victim of one of the most, probably the most prominent criminal network could make a argument for. I believe something might be happening soon just because they're trying so much in recent times to harm me that I feel like the opposition knows something's about to happen. I personally don't know for sure, but I hope that something will come to free him from this. It's going to be too late probably to completely restore his mental capabilities. But I hope that by people seeing this movie, that the people realize that there is a terrible problem in this country. It is broken. It is not, whether you learned as a child that it was a land of the free and the home of the brave, and that we had this democracy and the best rights and government there is. The problem is that's all theory, and unless the people put it into practice, it doesn't work. And we have a situation where we have a judiciary that is corrupt, most likely because there's almost no accountability. And to have accountability, the people like you watching this movie and me and Mr. Windsor, who's doing his best to bring this to the public and to help, we're going to have to take control, and that means we're going to have to put, and we can do this, we can hold our legislature's feet to the fire. They are elected by us, and we rely upon them to make decisions, but there are times when if they don't make the right decisions, and we all know that there are plenty of political issues that reasonable people can disagree on. But nobody agrees that it's okay for judges to commit crimes through judicial fiat. And we're talking serious fines. We're not talking about just making a mistake or having a bad day or one time. We're talking about repeated serious crimes of theft. I know attorneys are involved in trying to have me killed. I have no doubt about it whatsoever. I know that they are involved in having my dad kidnapped. I know they have harmed his memory so he won't, either despite me for bringing the case or to prevent him from ever revealing what happened when he was dealing with his wife, who's a criminal. I think his wife's a spy, quite frankly. But we can hold these legislatures' feet to the fire until they start removing judges from office. We have something called checks and balances in this country, and we're not using it. There are very few judges at the federal level that have ever been removed from office in the 200 and some odd years of our history. It was only like 8 to 10, maybe, something like that. It's just not enough. Quite frankly, in Tennessee, we've only removed 2 judges in about 55 years, I think. Only one of those was impeached. I've been to the legislature. Danny Tate has been to the legislature. Other people in this room have been to the legislature. They feel like it's not their job to remove judges. They try to change the laws or whatever, but if we removed 1 judge a year in Tennessee, I would be surprised if that would be enough. That would be a good start, though, almost, to make a rule that we have to. I'm not going to go quite there, but seriously, if you're not removing judges once in a while when they have lifetime appointments or they have almost no accountability, we're going to continue to get the kind of situation we have in Davidson County, Tennessee, where we had a singer-songwriter there whose estate had $2.5 million stolen from his estate. He moved to Kentucky just to get out of the court's jurisdiction. Recently, they sold his house a year and a half after they declared his conservatorship over. They sold his house to pay attorney's fees, and one of the attorneys bought the house for $120,000. There was nobody really to show up there. The house is probably worth, 3 times that much. There's, you've seen it on the road. You've filmed some really terrible judges where people have been harmed, really basically almost died from the harm that's been perpetrated on them. And we, the people, are going to have to take control. We're going to have to let judges know that when they repeatedly commit crimes, that we're going to be right inside their courtroom, and we're going to be outside the courthouse until the publicity is so great they're going to be forced to resign. And we're going to have to get our legislators to start removing people from office.